We're going to begin in Idaho, where this morning Bryan Kohberger is waking up in a maximum security prison after he was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the brutal murder of Alivea Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. What a sentencing it was. Friends and family of the victims had a chance to address Kohberger directly, of course, during his sentencing last week, including that moment we'll never forget, and that was from Alivea Goncalves' sister, Alivea.
The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, what a moment that was. Alivea spoke with ABC's Good Morning America this morning, kind of giving the backstory of that dramatic confrontation and how she said that she went in there and was not afraid of any consequences from what she said.
I was prepared to be arrested that day.
Really?
Really, no, I'm not joking. I think that every single one of us were. Man, was he mad. That was obviously a big point of why I did what I did, to make him feel small, because he is.
Let's bring in law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter and criminal defense attorney Joseph Tully. That moment was something else in Idaho last week, and she said that she was empowered by her father when he, Steve Goncalves, turned the podium and faced Bryan Kohberger. It was a moment in the courtroom where Matt Johnson was in the courtroom and said, everybody was like, hey, what's going to happen here? The intensity turned from, you know, honoring the victims on some level to then confronting the killer, and that the Goncalves family did. And Alivea talked about that in her ABC interview, that was sort of their strategy, to speak for, not about Kaylee and Maddie. Sonny, what was your overall thoughts on this young woman and the way they approached this, and the judge not stopping it?
Thanks for your great coverage last week on this, Ted. Listen, I think that the judge knew that not only that the families needed this, but the communities needed this, and that he allowed it, because the judge's words for himself were critical. So, but Alivea was on point. When her father turned that podium around, it is because they were determined to say what they needed to say. And Alivea's speech was poignant, perfect, powerful, and said and did everything that it needed to do to take this individual down. He is nothing. When she said he was basic, he is basically nothing. And I think she did that with her victim's impact statement. It was powerful and necessary.
Joseph, what were your thoughts?
You know, I couldn't help but think if it was part of a deeper strategy. So they had entered the plea, but a judge does not need to accept a plea. And I know that some families were okay with the plea, but some families were not. And had Kohberger acted out in any way, shown any reaction, done anything, it could have given the judge an opportunity to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to accept this plea. You're going back to trial and facing the death penalty.
That's a great point, yeah. And this was a family that was united, all three of them, in their addresses to Kohberger were poignant and aggressive. Let's listen to a bit more of Alivea on ABC's Good Morning America today, talking about the fact that she did her homework on Kohberger. She, as she put it, stalked the stalker.
I mean, I stalked the stalker. I found everything that I could from him online from the beginning of time to now. It fueled me to know that I got you pegged. I had one shot at it, and I was going to make the most of it.
Joseph Tully, Bryan Kohberger is now in a maximum security facility in the state of Idaho for at least the foreseeable future. He'll be spending pretty much 23 hours a day in a cell. But let's fast forward. A guy, he's an intelligent-ish person, and he really. Where do you see him 5-10 years from now, after he's acclimated, after he starts getting privileges? Is this a guy who's going to end up dead, or end up carving out a nice life as a OG serial killer?
Oh gosh, it's hard to kind of predict where he's going to go. I do think he's very self-centered, somebody who does, takes 4 lives for no apparent purpose. He's all about himself, service to himself. So I think it's very likely that he could, use his intelligence and figure out the best benefits to him and obtain them. I do think that there's a very, very good possibility that we have not heard the last of him, that he will use the public and the family's desire and even need to hear more, to get more questions answered. Why did he do it? How did he do it? That kind of thing, that he will kind of start leaking information, or he will want to stay in the news, keep relevant, if you will, and he will kind of leak out information. I wouldn't say that you could trust it 100%, but if I was going to make a prediction, I would predict that.
Yeah, he'll have access to the outside world, the tablet, email, some apps. Can't have a dating app, but he can have other things. He is living his life, and he'll be able to carve out that life. Sonny, when Alivea was addressing him, she stared at him the entire time, said never lost his eye contact. He, to Joseph's point, showed very little, if any, emotion the entire time during the sentencing hearing. Do you think he went into it, that would be his strategy, just stare straight ahead and do nothing?
Yes. I think his narcissistic behavior, I think the way he controls and manipulates the public is by showing no emotion, showing no fallibility, showing no care. The judge talked about it. He does not care, and I think that's what his strategy was, to give them nothing. And the judge spoke about that, and he gave them nothing, and except his arrogance. So I think what the attorney just said, that he will try to stay relevant and come back, and he'll try to do, put out piecemeals of things to make himself stay relevant eye of the public.
On his terms, which is sad. And Judge Stephen Ippler said it. He hopes that that doesn't happen, that his 15 minutes are over, and that nobody allows him a platform. But we'll see. For now, we'll move on from that man, and hopefully the families can as well on some level.